Hey guys, we'll get to our next clip in a second, but first I want to touch on something very important to me and our team at TYT. Mental health affects so many people, no matter who you are or what your background is. We at TYT are partnering with BetterHelp so you can access professional, affordable, and convenient counseling through the phone and video chat with therapists at the comfort of your own home. Head over to betterhelp.com/TYT for more info and how you can receive unlimited help from licensed professional counselors from your phone or computer at any time.
Bloomberg has been investigating the issue of healthcare in America. And so they're doing this multi-part series that's been fascinating. And they have specifically focused on how Americans are rigging their own safety nets as a response to a failing healthcare system. This is so interesting, and also it really highlights how bad healthcare is in America. So to give you the quick details on what they're doing, they're following people who are uninsured in this year-long effort to tell a story of Americans struggling to afford the rising costs of healthcare and the financial and medical trade-offs they make. So one of the things that people are doing is they are rejecting private healthcare altogether. It's too expensive, their monthly costs are way too high, their deductibles are too high. And so they realize, this doesn't make so much sense. Why am I paying $400 a month and dealing with an incredibly high deductible when at the end of the day, if I need this insurance company to cover something, they'll reject the claims, they won't authorize things. This is a waste of time. So physicians have opted to reject insurance as well, instead charging patients directly in return for more personalized care. So there is an example of this Christian nonprofit group. It's called Liberty Health Share. These are organizations that are sometimes faith-based plans. In this case, it is a faith-based plan. They help like-minded members share some medical costs. To join, members must pledge to adhere to Christian principles. They are required to make fixed payments each month, and the money is dispersed to cover healthcare needs for other families. So they're pooling their resources together, and then they're helping one another out, right? If someone gets sick, all right, here are the resources that we've accumulated. We're gonna use those resources to help that person pay for whatever healthcare costs they have. But what's interesting is, even if it starts off with really good intentions, and even if it starts off as something that's supposed to be different from private health insurers, it ends up being very similar to private health insurers. It ends up with a premium, ends up with certain things that won't be covered under the plan. So if you are living your life in a way that this group finds objectionable, even if you're overweight, they won't help you pay for certain things. If you get injured in a DUI, for instance, they will not cover the medical costs in those cases.
So in a minute, I'm gonna get into the problems with Obamacare, and it really,
it's bad.
It had some significant upsides, but we don't talk enough about its significant downsides. But we will here, and I think we try more than anyone else to point out both sides. Okay, so. At first, I started reading this story, and it sounded lovely. People getting together, working together, and there's two separate parts. There's the doctors who are setting up their own clinics, basically, and this one doctor that they're using said, she was tired of the treadmill, and when she was working for those giant health corporations, she had to see everybody in 15-minute intervals, and it didn't matter. If she couldn't give them proper care, it didn't matter. Move them along, move them along. She couldn't look things up, she couldn't tell them the answers. Move them along, it's a treadmill, it's a treadmill. The corporation's gotta make more money, right? So instead, she set up her own organization in Boise, Idaho, her own office, and she's like, look, I'm gonna charge families $130. You come in and you get as much treatment as you want.
You pay $130 a month. And she works as a primary care physician. She's not able to provide all your healthcare needs, but the basics she's able to provide. And so $130 a month, you show up as many times as you want in any given month, and she will see you, and she will see you as long as she needs to give you the care that you need.
So that's wonderful, and I want to give her all the credit in the world. Her last name is Gunther, okay? So the second part is the church that provides insurance. Why do you still need insurance if you've got the doctor? Because the doctor is for your regular things like an infection, and she helped this family greatly and they didn't have to go to an emergency room and spend thousands of dollars, right? That's great, that's perfect. But she can't fix cancer, Right. So, or if you got shot or you got a heart attack, et cetera. So there's these big events that you need to have insurance for. That's where the church comes in. And in the beginning of the story, it sounded like, oh, that's another lovely organization. At least they got together and people working together. That's what we're in favor of as progressives. But then you read the details of the church plan and
it's not good.
It's disastrous. So first, on the merits of it, right? It's not regulated by the states. And now, like, conservatives might be like, yeah, deregulate. No, the problem is then you don't have any protection. So it has really high deductibles. Wait, that's like the bad health insurance. And if you go over $1 million, it doesn't cover you. But cancer goes over $1 million, then what's the point of having the insurance for the things that are, the real big problems in your life in terms of insurance? Otherwise, you just go to a doctor. It doesn't have rules about minimum benefits. And then on top of that, they judge your life, and if they deem you immoral, they don't cover it.
Yeah, so some of it is what they deem immoral. Other things, other extra charges which used to exist, which used to be sanctioned under, health insurance plans prior to the Affordable Care Act are now being utilized by these plans, right? So the Affordable Care Act comes in and says, look, you can't charge women more just because they're women, right? Which was one of the things that health insurance companies were doing. You can't charge people more because they're overweight. But these church-based plans, because they're not being regulated, can do all of that. So to give you a specific example, one family goes in, family that's been completely disillusioned by the healthcare industry, and they're paying $450 a month to this Liberty program. But the woman in the family is overweight, and so she has to pay an $80 a month surcharge for that. So a lot of the things that the Affordable Care Act luckily protected us from, these new plans that are unregulated do not protect you from. So as you mentioned, Jake, there were good things that were accomplished through the Affordable Care Act. Unfortunately, the thing that it did not accomplish was affordability.
So I did the math in the article, and when you take all the things that she has to pay for under this Liberty Health Share, it actually costs more than Obamacare. And then she also has to pay the $130 for the private doctor. Now she's paying way more. And she's not getting enough insurance. By the way, they also can deny you for pre-existing condition. And even though it's run by a church, you know what they sometimes do? They say if you weren't honest enough, and you've seen all those horror stories, if you didn't report that you had acne, sometimes they kick you out, right? So that, not in this particular case, but in the bad old days before Obamacare, right? So, but this brings it back, and they go, if we feel you weren't honest enough in your application, we can kick you out retroactively. So if you get some sort of ailment and it seems like it's too expensive, we go back and analyze your forms, and if we quote unquote catch you, then the church goes, ha ha, we're not gonna pay your insurance, go die. Oh, Jesus Christ, it went from a heartwarming story to a disastrous story. Now,
but it's a testament to how angry people are with private insurers. They're so angry that, and my read of this is just the way that I interpreted the piece that was written by Bloomberg. It seems like the family is aware that they're now paying more than what they would have paid under the Affordable Care Act. But it seems like they don't care because they hate dealing with the insurance companies. And doctors are increasingly becoming frustrated because remember, they have to spend a lot of time, administrative costs, in trying to get things authorized through these insurance companies. Like that middleman has been a complete and utter disaster for a lot of doctors. So according to the research done for this piece, there have been as many as 900 doctors as of late who have decided, no, I'm not dealing with private healthcare companies anymore. I'm gonna deal with the customer, with the patient directly and see if we can come to an agreement.
So finally, real quick, the faults of Obamacare that partly led to this. First of all, they just didn't cover enough people. So 19 million people were covered, that's great that they weren't covered before. 28 million are still uncovered. Just do Medicare for all so we all have health insurance, right? But then the bigger problem is the deductibles and the rates, okay? So this family had to pay $547 a month for the Affordable Care Act, that's Obamacare. Their rent is $875. Now they're paying even more in health insurance than they would have under Obamacare, but that's still too expensive under Obamacare. And with high deductibles, and you can get out-of-pocket costs that are $10,000, that'll wipe out almost 90% of the families in this country. you left private insurance in charge and you assumed that they wouldn't raise rates. What a terrible assumption. You thought you had some safeguards in there. We told you at the time that will not work. At a bare minimum, you should have put the public option in there. And so now what you did was you painted a Heritage Foundation plan. It was a right-wing plan in the first place as the progressive plan. And then you let private insurance still in charge and still able to raise rates. So now their crimes are put on progressives. No, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. It's private insurance that's charging you all that money. You know what would actually solve it? Again, Medicare for all. Then we're all covered and we all pay reasonable rates. We pay less for healthcare and we actually get health insurance without the constant stress of, do I have a pre-existing condition? Am I gonna get booted off? The deductibles, the co-pays, et cetera, that are crushing all these families. For God's sake, do an actual progressive plan and solve healthcare once and for all.
Did you know the TYT Network is now available on YouTube's new streaming platform, YouTube TV? Get access to full TYT episodes and exclusive shows by signing up for YouTube TV today. All new subscribers get a 7-day free trial, so head over to youtube.tv and search for TYT Network's channel.